Good afternoon, everybody in Round Rock ISD and beyond. Thank you for joining us for a PBL debrief. This is the first time we're doing one of these, but we're hoping to do several as our project-based learning campuses and teachers complete some of their projects, giving them a chance to kind of talk a little bit about how it went, some advice to other teachers and other campuses, other districts that are going down that project-based learning path, and something that they want to share with the rest of all the teachers out there. So joining me today is the second grade team from Patsy Sommer Elementary in Round Rock ISD, and they just completed a project with the driving question of how can their students help students in need in Round Rock, Texas. And they had a lot of different elements that went along with that driving question. I know they had a great campaign of filling your bucket at the school, and it all culminated in an event yesterday where the students got to go shopping for Texas Baptist Children's Home, which is a home here in Round Rock, where students in various levels of need are able to spend some time with their family. So we're going to start off. I want to give each of the team members, and it's a large team. Patsy Sommer is a big campus here in Round Rock, so I want to give them each a quick moment just to say hi, give us their name, and once we're done with that, then we'll talk a little bit about the project. So why don't we start, I guess, to my left, with gray shirt next to the red shirt.
I'm Michelle Morgan.
Hello, Michelle.
I'm Crystal Larson, Sarah McCarthy, Laura Bryant, Holly Jenkins, and I'm Megan Cannon, Heather Solis, Dana Gaskamp.
All right, and thank you again, all of you, for taking some time from your planning time today to join us. So I really kind of the first question, and anybody can answer this, just give us a quick, 1 to 2 minute kind of overview of the project, how you came up with the driving question, and some key takeaways from the students.
Okay. Well, we started with our first PBL in the fall, and what we covered was why Round Rock landmarks are important and why people should know about them. And so at that time, the students were all kind of divided up, and they got to choose a Round Rock landmark to research. And through that research, we highlighted the Texas Baptist Children's Home because they have been around since 1950, and they are a big part of Round Rock. So during that time, the kids learned a lot about all of Round Rock, but were able to also learn the importance of the children's home. So when we were thinking about our spring PBL project, we thought, what would be a neat way to zoom in on just one of those Round Rock landmarks. And so we kind of came up with the idea of, we and they came up with the idea of how can we help students in Round Rock in need. And of course, immediately the kids responded, reflecting back on our previous studies and said, well, what about the Texas Baptist Children's Home? And then of course they fed right into that, and we were able to introduce the driving question and then begin to make a plan of how we can do that.
Excellent. And I know there was a very heavy service, obviously a very heavy service learning element to the whole project. And when I was able to come and see some of the students and actually talk to some of the teachers at Patsy Sommer that aren't in second grade, I heard a lot about the Fill Your Bucket project that went along with this. Can somebody tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, we definitely took our team and divided and conquered. We looked at different areas that people had connections. We were able to find a parent who worked at KVUE News and was able to get the KVUE team in on our media literacy teaks that we needed to cover. So the children were able to use those teaks and then create their advertisements. And they were guided by Tyler Cisuerta and his team about what would make effective advertising. We then contacted the Texas Baptist Children's Home with our connections there that we did with our previous project, and were able to quickly set up the different areas of the campus that could best be served by our PBL project, and then what we would do and where we would visit at the culmination when we got there.
Very good. Yeah, and it sounded like that was really a great even campus-wide and community-wide element from this project. So that was very exciting to hear. I forgot to mention too that to those of you who are watching us live, if you do have any questions, there's a question and answer app that's included in the Hangout. So nobody's asked any yet, but if you do have any live questions for the teachers here, please feel free to add those to that, and I'll make sure that they get answered. One thing that I'm really happy we're able to share in the blog post that's going to be coming out as well is a link to your lesson plan. And I was looking through that today, and that's a very heavily, it looked like it took a lot of time to get that document put together. So on behalf of everybody you're sharing that with, I want to thank you. And also, can somebody kind of talk a little bit about the kind of the collaborative effort that it looks like it really took to kind of do the planning part of it and kind of take us behind the scenes of the event?
So luckily we were able to have a full day of planning, and really during that planning day we were able to just kind of develop a driving question and create a skeleton idea. And then from there, once we had an idea of what our PBL might look like, we divided our team into different planning sections. And so it was about 2 people on each planning team would plan separately, keeping in mind our PBL project and pulling those teaks that really, they all went lovely with our PBL project, which was even better. So the project was even more meaningful. So then the math planning team would use those personal finance teaks that are new to 2nd grade. We were able to pull those and really heavily went along with our PBL project as far as budgeting, saving, spending. And then social studies came in and used the needs and wants, along with several other teaks that fit in nicely. And then reading, of course, with the media and advertising, and even with the and writing during our letter writing, because they were writing letters, persuading other people. So we were able to just work separately but collaboratively to get that large document created.
Excellent. Yeah, and one thing I hear a lot when we have such large teams, working together is how do you manage that collaboration communication, when you don't have a lot of time to actually sit down together? Can you share a little bit about, or some advice or suggestions to other teams around the district that are as large as yours? How do you keep that communication going?
We need a lot. During PBL, we're pretty much meeting every day during planning, if not more, and lots of emails. And the Google Doc is very beneficial because we're all able to see what everyone's doing. And it even has a chat feature on there. So if we need clarification, but then just constantly, we called our planning document a living document. I mean, it was always evolving and changing as needed based on everyone's needs and where we were at and what other teaks we found that might be beneficial to our PBL.
And I think in that planning day, it was really beneficial to take the driving question and then break it out into the teaks that would fit. Because when we left our PBL planning day, each curriculum team had the teaks that we would probably focus on heavily, and then we were able to filter through the ones that were not as driving in the process. So we left knowing that when I planned language arts, I left knowing what language arts needed to do to support the other groups, and then filled that in as we go. And just like we said, it's a living document and days don't go perfectly. And so we would just, when there's a day and things are going slow, planning teams would move one thing down to the next day or maybe 2 days ahead of time. So it was really beneficial to have that living document because it was constantly moving and changing, but in an organized way.
That's great. It sounds like you guys were, with such a long project, looks like it was about 4 weeks. You have to be adaptable and flexible along the way. And anybody, even if you're not a 2nd grade teacher, if you go to that link down under my name right here, you're going to have access to that planning document. So please take a look at that and really celebrate the work and collaborative work that this team put together. Just a couple other questions because I know you guys have a lot of planning probably to do today as well. 1 month left in the school year. But looking forward, and you might not have had a chance to do this yet, but looking forward to next year, what's maybe 1 or 2 things that you're going to add or something you might do differently if you started over for next year?
Well, I definitely think not only us, but Texas Baptist Children's Home would like us to continue this PBL and make it an ongoing, maybe tradition that we do yearly to kind of help meet their needs for this summer for those kiddos. But as far as making it better, I think that's something that each group of kids can help us do as well. I mean, it's kind of hard to say right now.
We did have the kids write a reflection piece today, and so I'm anxious to see kind of what their take is on it and what we can pull from their reflection writing to maybe improve. And we've got a lot of parent compliments and feedback that was nice to receive. They appreciated the budgeting, real life scenarios that the kids were having to do. We had homework connections where they were going in and pricing items in the stores and having to understand what it really is all about to spend and save. And so it's nice to not only have that surface piece, but have those real life scenarios for the kids.
Good. Well, excellent. Well, anybody else have just one more celebration or any aha things that came out during this PBL experience?
I don't know about, well, I think maybe an aha for the people that do go look at our plans. I think what you'll see is a lot of just regular everyday processes and tweaks are covered. We just tweaked it a little bit to fit. So oftentimes in reading, we were reading books and responding to books that had an empathy piece, which is what we were wanting to promote with the kids. In the math, it's, financial literacy, problem solving. And it really does fit into your day. It seems overwhelming when you're first planning because you think you have all of these things you have to cover and now you have to have PBL. But I think when you look in the document, you'll see that they both flow together and you can do your normal everyday things within your PBL project.
And, just to kind of explain what Fill the Bucket is, if you're not familiar with it, in second grade during a counseling session, our counselor comes in and does a whole lesson on, what it is to do kind things to people to help them feel better, and how when you make them feel better, it actually makes you feel better. So you're filling their bucket and they're also filling your bucket. And so something that was really neat about this is that the kids walked away knowing that they filled the buckets of the children at the children's home. They didn't walk away with anything in their hands. There were no prizes to be gained. They didn't ask for anything to be given to them in return, but in return, their buckets were also filled. So it was just, you walk away and the kids are excited and the parents are excited doing something for somebody else.
And with that, the students sold for 5 days to the whole school, just paper hearts for 25 cents. And within those 5 days, we sold $887. So not bad.
Not bad. And then they took that money and they went shopping at HEB.
Correct.
Correct. How'd that part of it go? There were a lot of logistics I know involved.
Yeah.
They loved it. I asked the kids today, I said, what was one of your favorite parts of this? And they said shopping. they had a great time. And, they worked on budget sheets. They had done homework, so they priced things ahead of time. So they worked on budget sheets in the classroom. And so when we went and took our list to the store, I asked them today, were you able to stick pretty closely to your list? They stuck perfectly to it. So they were prepared, but they loved that, the shopping.
And PBL is all about having the community involved. And I would say yesterday, going to HEB, we really relied heavily on our parents and our community contacts. And so without our parents, it would have been a logistics nightmare. But we had some wonderful parents who were willing to give up their morning to walk children through the store for this bigger purpose. And without them, it would have been very difficult. But it seemed to be pretty seamless with the help of parents.
Good. Well, excellent. Well, I do want to thank you all once again for taking the time to join us and share. And everybody else that gets to see this and is either watching live or sees it later, make sure you do go to that site down there below my name and get all the information about the project, get some pictures are on there from the event yesterday. And like I said, that planning document too, which even if it's not even if these TEKs aren't necessarily on your grade level, I would suggest just looking at the model that this team, Patsy Sommer, put together to collaborate, especially in a team of 8, would be a great skill to take to any team K through 12. So, ladies, thank you once again for joining me. And unless there's a final word for the group, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Last chance.
Have a good afternoon.
All right. Thank you.